After discussing anatomy, let us move towards our another topic, that is uveitis. What is uveitis? Uveitis is an inflammation of the uveal tract, and we classified it on the basis of anatomy and clinical classification and histological classification. Let us discuss all these classification one by one. Now let us discuss about the anatomical classification of uveitis. Uveitis, on the basis of anatomy, is classified into anterior uveitis, intermediate uveitis, and posterior uveitis. Now you tell me, what is the anterior uveitis? I have told you that the middle layer of the eyeball is choroid, and the choroid extends and forms what? Ciliary body, and the ciliary body extend and form iris. So most anterior is ciliary body and iris. So the any inflammation involving the ciliary body and iris, here I can show you that suppose this is the choroid. Choroid extends and form, let me change the color. This is the ciliary body, and then the black one I'm using, this is iris. So this is choroid, this is ciliary body, and this is iris. Let me write CH for choroid so you don't confuse it. So the an inflammation, iris is most anterior. So iris and the ciliary body anterior part inflammation is anterior uveitis. Ciliary body posterior part inflammation is post intermediate uveitis. And the any inflammation that is involving choroid, and it may also involve the retina, that is the innermost layer of the eye. Any inflammation that is involving the choroid and retina are posterior uveitis. So I hope you are clear. So what I have told you, that there may be anterior uveitis, intermediate uveitis, and posterior uveitis. Again, an inflammation that is involving the anterior part of the uveal tract, that is iris, ciliary body, or iris and ciliary body both, that is anterior uveitis. And ciliary body, what part of the ciliary body? The pars pliccata part of the ciliary body, that is the anterior part of the ciliary body. Okay, the iris inflammation is iritis, ciliary body inflammation is anterior cyclitis because it is involving the anterior part of the ciliary body, and both iris and ciliary body inflammation are iridocyclitis. Now what about intermediate uveitis? Intermediate uveitis, there's posterior part of the ciliary body and pars plana part of the ciliary body. So pars cyclitis and pars planitis. And what is posterior uveitis? That is involving choroid and choroidal retina both, that is choroiditis and choroidoretinitis. So here we are done with the classification of the anatomical classification of anterior uveitis. Now let us discuss about the classification. We are left with the clinical classification and the histological classification. In clinical classification, you already know better than me that there is acute, there is a chronic, or there is a recurrent. What is the acute? If we declare any case as of acute case, if the person is having inflammation from, if the person is having certain onset of symptoms and inflammation from 6 weeks to 3 months, if it is more than 3 months, then we declare it chronic. And if there are recurrent or recurrent episodes of uveitis and in between there is a period of inactivity, then we declare it as recurrent uveitis. So in clinical classification, we have acute, we have chronic, in which we have gradual onset and more than 3 months duration, and we have recurrent or recurrent episodes, that is recurrent uveitis. What is histological classification? Histological classification, we classify it, we see on the histology slide, and we see granuloma formation. You know better than me what is granuloma. Granuloma is basically there is a giant cell, there is a epithelioid cells inside the granuloma. So we if on the histology side we see granuloma formation, then we declare it as granulomatous uveitis, and non-granulomatous is having simply lymphocytes and plasma cells. So what are the other hallmarks for the granulomatous inflammation? That is the formation of nodules, there is nodules formation, and there is mutton fat keratitic precipitates. Now what is this mutton fat keratitic precipitates? I will tell you in the upcoming lectures that what is the mutton fat keratitic precipitates. So in granulomatous inflammation, we also see in our cornea the mutton fats and the nodules formation. So this is all about the clinical classification and histological classification. Cause or etiology. Etiology or the cause of uveitis may be infectious or non-infectious. Let us discuss first about infectious causes. Infectious causes may be exogenous or endogenous. Endogenous means that the person is having the infection, endogenous infection, there is any bacteria inside, there is any disease, syphilis, etc. So endogenous causes are bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. Bacteria commonly involved are TB, syphilis, and viral infections are basically HIV and herpes zoster infections. And fungi, basically the candida is the most common fungi. In fungi we have candida, and protozoans are the causes of the infectious etiology of the uveitis, and endogenous infectious etiology. And what is the exogenous? Exogenous means that there is any injury from the outside, or there is any ulcer that is perforating and causing the inflammation of the uveal tract. And after the glaucoma or cataract surgery, there may be the inflammation of the uveal tract, that is exogenous. That is after, that is from outside there is anything that causes the inflammation of the uveal tract. So this is, or we have idiopathic. In secondary we have corneal ulcers, cyclitis or retinitis. It means that there is some other condition going on and that causes the inflammation of the uvea also, uveal tract also. What is that? What is this other condition? Is it may be either cyclitis, inflammation of the sclera, causes, also causes or extends to the uveal tract and causes inflammation of the uveal tract also. There may be corneal ulcers, or there may be retinitis, inflammation of the retina, that causes the inflammation of the uveal tract also. This is secondary causes. What are autoimmune causes? In autoimmune causes we have ocular conditions. In ocular conditions we have phaco-antigenic uveitis and sympathetic ophthalmitis. You don't need to remember the details of it, but I want to remember you that these conditions are due to hypersensitivity reactions, that the proteins are activated in phaco-antigenic, the antibodies are activated against the antigens, and due to these antibodies there's inflammation of the uvea, and that is phacoantigenic uveitis. And the other one is sympathetic ophthalmitis. Now what about systemic diseases? In autoimmune we have ocular condition, we have systemic diseases. In spondylitis, arthritis, which may be either psoriatic arthritis or juvenile idiopathic arthritis, and sarcoidosis, IBD, etc. These are all autoimmune diseases in which the body is reactive against its own cell. Body start killing its own cell. These are autoimmune diseases. So in all these autoimmune diseases, there is a probability that the body or the inflammation also gets started in the also gets start in the uveal tract. I want to remember you the point that in arthritis, the patient is taking the steroids or NSAIDs, etc. We give along with the we give NSAIDs to the patient of arthritis, and patient is also having has the history of taking steroids, etc. And also, I want to remember you one thing, that what is Behçet disease? But in Behçet disease, we have genital and oral ulcers, genital ulcers, oral ulcers, and uveitis, oral ulcers and uveitis. So it is basically genital ulcers, oral ulcers, and uveitis, which is basically Behçet disease. And what is it also occurs in sarcoidosis. Now moving forward, what is idiopathic? Idiopathic means the cause is not known. So I want to remember you point that acute iridocyclitis we have discussed in the classification of the uveitis, that the it may be acute or it may be chronic. Though acute iridocyclitis, that is basically the acute inflammation of the irido means iris, and ciliary body means the anterior part of the ciliary body. Acute iridocyclitis is having idiopathic cause, means its cause is not known. And the other one is fish iridocyclitis. Fish iridocyclitis, I want to remember a point that there is glaucoma and cataract also, and the patient is also having glaucoma and cataract, and there is also keratitis precipitates also. And the third one is glaucomatocyclic cyclitic crisis. Glaucomatocyclitic crisis means, cyclitic means there is inflammation of the ciliary body, there is glaucoma, and the patient goes in crisis, and this is due to the unknown reason, idiopathic. So these are the conditions, these are the other causes of the uveitis. We have acute inflammation of the ciliary body. Whenever in our body we have having inflammation, the acute inflammation of ciliary body causes spasm of the ciliary body. There is ciliary body spasm, and you know that whenever we are having an inflammation going on, there is increase in the capillary permeability. There is increase in the vascular permeability, and that causes the chemotaxis or the chemicals to move inside, and that causes the secondary glaucoma. Obviously, the mediators are released and they move on at the site of the inflammation. Then there is uveitis, and the inflammatory mediators that causes the blockage of the trabecular meshwork, or they may also cause the inflammation of the trabecular meshwork, and this causes the secondary glaucoma. So this is its pathogenesis. Clinical features or the symptoms that the patient come to you. The patient is having the sudden onset of pain that is acute, as it is acute iridocyclitis, sudden onset of pain, and the patient is having deep ocular pain. The patient is complaining of deep ocular pain. This is the feature of the acute iridocyclitis. There is decreased vision, there is photophobia, there is lacrimation, and there is redness of the eye. The deep ocular pain is its major hallmark feature. Then there is decreased vision, there is photophobia, there is lacrimation, there is redness of the eye. These are the symptoms that the patient is complaining of. Now, what are the signs that we see and that helps in confirming the diagnosis? The signs are, you can clearly see the signs. There is meiosis of the pupil. The signs are the miotic pupil. There is a constriction of pupillary sphincter, and there is meiosis of the pupil, and there is marked ciliary congestion. Let me show you other signs also. The patient comes to you and is having the complaint of deep ocular pain, then you may think of the uveal tract inflammation or infection. If the patient is having decreased vision, deep ocular pain means that there is involvement of the middle layer of the eye somehow. There is something deep. So there is inflammation of the uveal tract. Now, what are the signs? We see the mitotic pupil due to the constriction of the pupillary sphincter, and there is red eye with marked ciliary congestion. You can see there is circumscribed ciliary congestion. Now, what are the, we can see the keratitic precipitates. So what are the keratitic precipitates? Keratitic precipitates, as you know that there's in anterior iridocyclitis, there is inflammation going on, and whenever there is inflammation, there is the release of the inflammatory cells, or inflammatory mediators are released. So these inflammatory cells are deposited on the endothelium of the cornea, and they appear as a keratitic precipitates. So here you can see the picture of keratitic precipitates. What are the other signs? There is inflammation going on, there is increase in vascular permeability, there is the disruption of the blood aqueous barrier. So you can see here the aqueous flare in the anterior chamber. There is aqueous flare due to the acute inflammation. You can also see fibrinous exudates in the cornea. You can also see hypopyon. What is hypopyon? I'll show you. This is the case of iridocyclitis. You can see constriction of the pupil, miotic pupil, and you can also see here, you can also see that there is a pus collection, boat like pus collection there. This is hypopyon. This is what we called hypopyon. Whenever there is inflammation, there is pus also, so there is hypopyon also. Hypopyon is nothing but a pus collection of pus. Now, what else we see? We see fibrinous exudate, aqueous flare, we see miotic pupil, we also see posterior synergy. What is posterior synergy? Posterior synergy is basically when the iris basically attached, iris is attached to the capsule. You can see this is my choroid, this is ciliary body, and this is iris, and this is lens. When iris become attached to the lens posteriorly, it is called posterior synergy. Posterior synergy. What else? Red reflex is absent. Red reflex is when the camera eye falls into your pupil. There is a red reflex in the normal individuals, that is basically absent in the anterior uveitis cases. And there is also tenderness of the eyeball, and the interocular pressure may be raised or may be low or may be normal. So these are the signs of the anterior uveitis. There is reduced visual acuity. When we see on the Snell's chart, there is reduced visual acuity. There is corneal congestion, as I have shown you earlier. There is pupil meiosis, I have shown you. There is absence of red reflex, I have told you. There is tenderness of eyeball, I have told you. Their interocular pressure may be normal, high, or low. And anterior chamber show aqueous flare. Aqueous flare is due to the breakage of the blood aqueous barrier, and there is the proteins come from the blood into the anterior chamber, and that causes the aqueous to form. Hypopyon is basically inflammation. Due to the inflammation, there is also the pus collection, and there are fibrinous exudates, and there the most important is keratitic precipitates. Keratitic precipitates are basically due to the inflammatory cells. Due to the inflammatory cells are deposited on the endothelium of the cornea, and that is keratitic precipitates. And what else? There is muddy iris. Muddy iris is due to the same fibrinous exudates or the presence of the exudates. Or posterior symmetry, I have told you that the iris become attached to the lens posteriorly, so this is posterior symmetry. These are all the signs of the anterior uveitis. Now, what is this DD? What is this differential diagnosis? We have to differentiate it from the conjunctivitis or acute congestive glaucoma. It should be differentiated from the acute congestive glaucoma or conjunctivitis. I want you to remember one thing, that there in the acute congestive glaucoma, the patient doesn't complain of having deep ocular pain. The patient doesn't complain of having miosis, and the patient is not having miosis. And also one thing, that the keratitic precipitates, the hyperbiofiltration is not there. So we have to differentiate it from acute congestive glaucoma. But what are the investigations that we do to confirm the anterior uveitis? We do CBC, we do ECR, we do anti-nuclear antibodies, we do anti-nuclear cytoplasmic antibodies, we do for the granulomatous diseases, we do serum angiotensin converting enzyme. And for we do skin test, we do HLA-B27. What is the purpose of doing HLA-B27? To rule out the autoimmune diseases. And we do OCT to rule out if there is any macular edema or not, or foveal edema. So these are the investigations that we carry. Towards our last part, that is the treatment of the anterior uveitis. So what is this treatment? So for the relief of symptoms and to prevent complications and to prevent pain, we give the patient some certain drugs. The first in this category is cycloplegics. As I have discussed earlier, that there is constriction of the ciliary muscle, and to relax that constriction, to relieve the pain, we give the patient cycloplegic. And the cycloplegics are atropine sulfate and homatropine and cyclopentolate. Now, what else we give? We give the patients topical steroids, that is prednisolone or dexamethasone 4 to 6 times a day. And we also give the patient periauricular injection in the subtenon capsule or in the subconjunctival region. We also give the patient topical steroids by the injection or by simply topical application. We give the patient systemic NSAIDs. NSAIDs are given in the patients or to the patients of the arthritis, or we give the patient systemic steroids if the patient is unresponsive to the topical steroids or to the injections. We give the patient systemic steroids. And if the patient is unresponsive to all that, we give the patient antimetabolites such as azathioprine or methotrexate. But we keep the dose minimal to avoid the complications. What else we give the patient cyclosporins, and we also give the patient antibiotics. And that is all about the treatment of the acute uveitis and acute iridocolitis.